Welcome to Season 25, War 1. Got moved over to BG1. I've been in BG2 since I came to 4 Loki. Just a rebalancing effort. They needed a guy who was good with rulk, and we brought in a new guy. And normally, new guys will go to BG2 where B-Manny can yell at them whenever they do something wrong. So, that's a joke. So, I got moved over to BG1, and I've never done this fight before, so it was a new fight for me. I fought Dragonman enough times, but you can see here I paused on that for a minute, making sure I understood it. So at the start of this fight, I know he's going to be unblockable. So I was hoping he would back up so I could, hit into his block. And there I got an intercept. And here I'm like, trying to get the special out, which he does fine. But I wasn't really too sure on the balance of, pushing him to specials and trying to get rid of the power gain, and then whenever he's in the unblockable phase. So here's where it's like, oh, yep, I screwed up. And so here, every time he knocks you down, he also goes unblockable. So if I don't get out of this, then I'm in trouble. So finally I get out of it. And I'm like, all right, this is bad. But I'm up to 10 heat charges now, so I'm hitting really hard. And I kind of squeaked out of that one. I'm going to have to rewatch. If I get that fight again, I'll have to rewatch this quite a few times to figure out a better strategy. I'm not really too sure what the best strategy is, because timing the unblockable from regen along with his power gain, because you can't just eat the SB1 on the block if he's unblockable. So yeah, it's that, or I'm going to figure out how to full evade that SB1 in the corner. This fight I wasn't really thinking too much about. I'm going to use Fury. I was like, as long as I don't go to second life, I'm not really going to get in too much of a panic. And if I go into second life, then throw an SB1 and I'll be countering her invisibility. So whoopee. So at some point in this fight, I do start keeping track of my combo, because like right there, the masochism ate the ending light bleed, which is the big damage with Fury. So it was something to keep in mind. But in first life, it's very difficult to keep it up enough to be able to avoid the miss. I probably should have been throwing the SB1, but I didn't really think too much about this one. And there I just went a little bit too far, but it's whatever. So you can see here, I get here, and I guess I never really did change my combo. I just let it through. I thought about it, and I guess I just ignored it. Oh, well. Still, it's just an invisible woman, and it's Nick Fury. I mean, you'd have to be pretty awful to lose to this fight. There's, really nothing to it. I'm sure I'll probably die to that at some point and be like, how did I die to that? But, so, anyway, this section 2 is all Doom fights. The first one is Wasp, and you might think, well, why would you use Doom against Wasp with class disadvantage and all that? Well, it's rage, so you don't really care too much about the attack. And while she does gain attack, really all you're trying to do with this one is keep the rage charges low. And I originally was just going to come in here, parry heavy. Well, then I saw my heavy didn't even trigger the rage. So I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. So unless I crit on the heavy, I'm not even going to trigger the rage. So I kind of go into this medium light, and I'm trying to use the stun timer and the shock timer as much as possible. And then here I get to the SB2, and I'm like, I really don't want to go to an SB3, because that's going to eliminate the possibility of me being able to do anything with specials, because the SB3 just gets complicated with Wasp, because she can evade while you're trying to do your Doom combo. So it's like, so I don't want to do that. And I still had one stagger up at that point, so I was like, I'll be safe. Even if I crit every hit, I'll still be fine. I'd have to change it up a little bit, but not a big deal. So here I get the stagger on, parry, and then I throw the special, although both times I was a little bit slow on throwing it, but you can see the incinerate's doing a lot of work, and that's really kind of what I was hoping for. And it speeds up this fight a lot, and anytime you can speed up a fight like this, you can lower the chances of you just slipping up for stupidity stakes. So you can see I'm pretty much, it's not super sped up, but the SP2 really does help. And I did learn I could probably boost a little bit bigger there, but it's no big deal. It was still, just make sure you don't eat a heavy on that combo, because I haven't had an invulnerability boost and I don't know how long. So going into this next fight, it's rank 3 Cosmic Ghost Rider. I can evade his SB1. I've done it before. It's one of those things where you at first think it's a really tough one, like, oh man, this is like core, this will be really tough, and then you actually do it and it's like, yeah, that's not so bad. The timing on it's very forgiving, so not a big deal. And so going into this, plus with Doom, I can just parry, or I can just heavy and get those staggers on. So even if he does throw the special one, then it wouldn't be a big deal, because the unblockable is an active buff. So you can just it'll get knocked off by the stagger. It'll get nullified. So again, this is pretty easy fight. I don't go for like a Doom rotation, because I didn't really want to push him to an SB2, because I wasn't quite sure how much block damage that would do. But it still would have probably been fine. But I just kind of had a game plan in my head, and I was like, I know this will work, so I'm just going to stick with that. No reason to reinvent the wheel. So new season, new battle group. Started off 4-0, so that's a good start. And I'm in kind of the big league battle group where no one in BG1 dies, hardly ever. I think last season they averaged like 1 or 2 deaths per war overall. So yeah, so you can see I did the screenshot a little bit wrong. It's a little bit cut off, but the PR rank in my BG is 8, but overall in the Alliance it's 18. So pretty distributed fight distribution, and so I'm kind of low, but I'm really not too worried this season. Like, I'm not gonna get a card in this battle group, which is fine, and I'm probably not gonna be super high in PR in the Alliance. I'll probably be somewhere between 15 and 20, even if I don't die at all. So not a big deal. I'm not really too worried about it. It's just fair warning, this season might be kind of boring, although watching that dragonman fight, I might get a few more fights that are kind of like, but this next war I have, I'm probably just going to combine it with, I'll combine war 2 and 3, because this next war I've got kind of boring. The fights aren't really all that interesting. So y'all have a good one.